Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you're joining us from, and thank you for attending today's webinar. My name is Amy Wardzala. I'm our Senior Director of Development here at the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation, and I'm so glad to welcome each and every one of you who've joined us today on our first day of Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Month. Before we get started, I'd like to take a moment to introduce my colleagues who will be joining me on this call. Kate Gates is our Vice President of Advocacy and Programs, and Samantha Simmons, who is our Manager of Marketing and Communications. We are so excited to spend the next hour with each and every one of you and talk a little bit more about who we are, what we do, and how you can get involved across the next month. Next slide. Our theme for Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Month this year is Growing Stronger. And today, Kate, Sam, and I will discuss how your support, your voice, and your involvement in the PFF is strengthening the organization so that we can better serve the needs of the community. The primary way we do this is through awareness, fundraising, and advocacy. And our progress wouldn't be possible without your help. And throughout this webinar, we'll identify ways that you can get involved both this month and beyond, and you'll see these themes throughout the rest of the deck. Next slide. Your support and participation in our initiatives enables us to offer vital programs and services for PF patients and their loved ones. Some of you might even be a part of some of the programs and services that we offer on this slide. And all of these also enable us to advocate for our community, and our work with legislators and industry help to drive research forward. It's really a collaborative environment here. And as you can see, our main areas of focus are advocacy, patient support, education, research, the Care Center Network, and so many more. All of these exciting and essential programs and services that we offer, again, wouldn't be possible without the generosity and participation of our donors, volunteers, and each of you tuning in today. We'll dive into each of these areas of focus today during our webinar, but this is a little bit of an offering of who we are and what we do, and we'll talk about each of these program areas in just a few minutes. Next slide. Now that we have a little bit of a better understanding about the Foundation's efforts on behalf of the community, I want to take a moment to show you how your support and involvement with the PFF have fostered our growth over the last 20 years, which is really a short amount of time for all of these accomplishments to be possible. And we've seen that growth and progress in this space thanks to our supporters like you, donors, fundraisers, event leaders, volunteers. Collectively, we have moved the needle forward as a team. The timeline in front of you gives you a little bit of an overview of some of the main achievements that we've celebrated. And I'll take a moment to tell you where we started and where we're headed. But to do the where we're headed part, we have to go back to the beginning. And I'll take just a few minutes to highlight what we've already accomplished with your support and involvement over the last 20 years. The PFF was founded in 2000 in Denver, Colorado by brothers Albert Rose and Michael Rosenzweig after their sister Claire passed away from the disease. It was established through a $1 million pledge by Albert, which is why some of you may have noticed our current planned giving program is called the Albert Rose Legacy Society, thanks to that very generous donation that truly started it all for us. The initial goal of the foundation was to provide education, patient support, and primarily to fund research for future treatments and ultimately a cure. All of this was for a deeply personal reason, and you'll notice that those same pillars stand today within the organization. Moving on down the timeline, in 2006, the PFF gave a $1 million grant to the University of Chicago here locally where we're based to support the establishment of their pulmonary program at their newly constructed medical center. Essentially, this laid the groundwork for the later establishment of the Care Center Network, which you'll see on our chart, and some of you may be very familiar with, as you might be seeing at a Care Center Network site. Our first summit was presented in 2011. It was the first conference of its kind that was focused on pulmonary fibrosis. And for those of you who have attended, you'll realize that it's a really unique format that welcomes all populations and audiences of the PF community. It's a melding of patients, caregivers, family members, healthcare professionals, researchers, and industry partners, just to name a few of the many audiences who attend the summit on a regular basis. It's an opportunity to highlight advancements in the medical field and celebrate our accomplishments. If you haven't had a chance to attend one of our summits, all of the videos are archived online, specifically those from our last summit in San Antonio in 2019. You can visit our website to see all of the information that was presented. And it was a lot of really great information at that conference. And mark your calendars. Our summit in 2021 will be an all virtual experience from November 8th through the 13th. So that's this year. Registration for patients and their loved ones is just $25, and you can register today. It's open now at pffsummit.org. The Leanne Storch Support Group Fund was established in 2012, and some of you may recognize that name. Leanne joined the PFF in 2003 after being diagnosed with IPF herself. She worked very closely with Mike Rosenzweig and acted as a support system and liaison for patients and their families. Some of you today maybe even personally interacted with her. She later became the executive director of the foundation from 2008 to 2011 and was a driving force in ensuring the patient voice was a central part of the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. In 2012, the Support Group Fund was established in her name to honor her extraordinary commitment to patient support and to support groups across the nation. And this was a gift from a private patient donor. Leanne passed away in May of 2019, but her dedication and commitment to this community lives on through this grant program and through the support groups, which we'll talk a little bit further into this presentation. In 2013, we established the Care Center Network with 9 pilot sites. These centers provide support and guidance on the direction and design of the patient registry, and that still holds today. The goals of our Care Center Network are to ensure quick diagnosis and expert care for this disease, to increase an understanding of interstitial lung disease and enable better treatments, and to mobilize the community at large. These sites meet specific criteria to ensure that they're equipped with the expertise to provide PF patients with the best treatment and care. Some of you may be very familiar with this and maybe seen at a Care Center Network site, and I'm thrilled to say that we have 68 to this day. Again, we'll talk a little bit more about that. In 2014, 2 therapies were approved by the FDA and became available to patients. And with this development, a new wave of funding came to this space. We have great partnerships with their parent companies, and through these partnerships, we've grown pretty significantly, been able to establish educational materials, start the ambassador program, and establish the Patient Communication Center, which is now the PFF Help Center. In 2016, we launched our registry, our PFF registry, and enrolled the first patient. It's a crucial research tool in the fight against the disease, and data gathered is being used by researchers to uncover the causes of PF, improve treatments, and help lead us toward answers about the disease. Now we're preparing to launch the PFF Community Registry, which will rely on ongoing patient-reported data that is provided directly by participants who come into the community registry. The registry overall allows the research community to expedite their research, which also eliminates costs. It's a really powerful tool in our research portfolio. I'm really thrilled to share this stat with you. It's incredibly powerful. Information from the registry has already been used for over 30 studies, representing more than $32 million in disease research. So for those of you who are part of the call that are part of our PF registry, thank you for being a part of it and for accelerating this research for the community forward. Another really key area of focus across the organization is our research, our entire research portfolio, and the PFF Research Awards Grant became the PFF Scholars Program in 2018. As I mentioned, this really has been a key priority for the foundation, and we've been giving research awards since our inceptions. The difference is in 2018, we revamped the program after identifying the need to have younger researchers invest their time in the PF space. The new program also pairs the researcher who is early in their career with a more seasoned investigator to provide them with guidance and support and encourage them to stay in the PF space in the long term. This increased investment in the space from researchers will also improve research outcomes. And essentially, the hope is to get us closer toward a cure. Next slide. We are incredibly excited about where we are in this space today and with all the current initiatives and programs that we have. And it's thanks to you, again, to the community, to our supporters, that we have seen so much progress and momentum over the last 20 years. All the programs and services that we offer to patients are possible because of the rapid growth of the organization. And our strategic plan has truly been our guiding structure along the way. As you can see in this chart in front of me, we've grown from a budget of $1.2 million with 6 to 8 staff in 2010 to an over $12.5 million operating budget with about 30 staff today, which allows us the opportunity to just do more for the organization, and something that I'm really excited to be a part of, as I know my colleagues are, as we look to present the rest of who we are and what we do for you today. Next slide. So we've laid a baseline for where we started, and I also want to take a few minutes in today's webinar to talk about where we're headed and really outline why your continued support is so important for all of these programs and services that we offer to patients. One of our key accomplishments has been the expansion of our care center network, which I touched on earlier. We started with just 9, and now we've grown to 68 over across 33 states. We also partner with community hospitals and pulmonologists, and we understand that not everyone can be seen at an academic medical center, so we have these really strong partnerships across multiple avenues. Our care center network sites work together to ensure standards of care are met and that each patient is getting the best care possible, which is our ultimate goal. Next slide. I referenced this earlier, but today I'm pleased to share with you that we offer 157 support groups in 39 states, plus 13 international groups. In addition to the Leanne Storch Support Group Fund, we offer training and expanded resources for support group leaders to really set them up for success. This ensures that patients and caregivers have a network that they can turn to when going through diagnosis, treatment, and beyond in their journey with the disease. We've also expanded our telephone-based support groups with a dedicated focus on caregivers, Spanish speakers, and the lung transplant community to meet the needs of everyone involved in the PF community. If you're not part of a support group already and want to learn more, you can find meeting times and information on each of these groups to meet each of these different audience populations under the patient and caregivers dropdown on our website, which is pulmonaryfibrosis.org. Next slide. The PFF Help Center, formerly known as the Patient Communication Center, assists more than 4,000 people worldwide annually. We respond to both phone and email inquiries from patients, loved ones, healthcare providers, and others in the community worldwide. The PFF Help Center is a trustworthy resource, especially for those who have been recently diagnosed. It's a place where you can connect with a member of our staff to get educational resources, help find a support group in your area, and learn more about any of the programs and services that we're talking about today. Next slide. I'm sure most of you have visited our educational resources section of our website, but if you haven't, it's a really great place to start. We offer a multitude of educational resources, including guides, videos, and webinars geared towards patients, caregivers, and healthcare providers. Most of our materials are available in multiple languages to ensure that information about PF is getting to all those who need it. You can also reach out to us for hard copies of any of the materials listed on our website. Next slide. As we've said a couple of times, you'll see this thematically. We know that research is the path forward and a cure for PF. The PFF registry reached its targeted enrollment of 2,000 patients in 2018. As I referenced earlier, we are now preparing to enroll patients in the PFF community registry, which will include patient-reported data directly from multiple audiences: patients, caregivers, family members, lung transplant recipients. Everyone is invited to join this registry. And all of this extra data will allow researchers to access even more information and hopefully answer key questions about PF. The value of the registry in both the community and the clinical setting is the speed of getting the data. It's already collected. It's there for researchers so they don't have the delay of collecting it themselves. That also reduces the cost of research, which can be a very costly process, and we have it all there ready to go. And data from the registry will help scientists find new causes of PF, track the effects of PF treatment, improve the ways doctors diagnose and manage people living with the disease, and help discover new treatments. More information on the community registry will be rolling out in the coming weeks and how you can join, so stay tuned. But we really encourage everyone on the call to join when it becomes available, as it's a super compelling tool for research and for answers on the disease. Next slide. We also recognize the importance of clinical trials in ensuring the best quality therapies are available, and we hope our clinical trial finder tool makes it easier for patients to navigate and to ultimately find studies and enroll. Our clinical trial finder, which you'll see a little snapshot of it on this slide and what it looks like, it's a resource and tool to easily search by geography, demographics, investigator, and keywords. You'll see some exciting changes coming to this tool very, very soon that will make it even more user-friendly. And similarly, on the slide, on the image on the left, rather, our drug development pipeline is a resource that we have that makes it easier to navigate all the therapies that are in development. You can filter by phase, intervention type, condition, and can quickly and easily enroll in the studies directly from there. If you hadn't had a chance to look at either of these tools, I would encourage you to do so. It's a really great resource for patients to find clinical trials and learn more about them. Next slide. The Growing PFF Scholars Program, again, is something that invests in early stage PF researchers and provides a mentorship component to help increase these researchers' successful applications. Here's another really exciting stat that I love to share. As an organization, we have given over $4.5 million in research awards since 2000, and we've received a return on an investment of over $100 million to date. This means that our research awardees have gone on to secure large-scale research awards through federal funding agencies like the NIH, NHLBI, etc., that are valued at over $100 million. And because of the generous support from donors, we've been able to continually increase the amount of the grant that we offer to our PF scholars. In this next cycle, our awardees will receive $75,000 over a 2-year period, the most in the program's history. You can learn more about our current cycle of researchers on our website as well, and this is just a few of the researchers that we've funded through this program. Some of them may even look a little familiar to you. Some of them have done other webinars with us that you might have sat on before. Next slide. It's truly inspiring to see all the progress that we've made over the last 20 years, but we aren't done. We still don't have a cure, and we still have challenges with educating the public and even the medical community about this disease. Through our Pinpoint PF Awareness campaign, PF Awareness Month, and partnerships to elevate awareness, we are working to educate at-risk audiences and the public about pulmonary fibrosis. As discussed earlier, we're planning to launch the community registry and reopen the Care Center network this fall. We're also working to expand the Care Center network and the PF Scholars Program. And our forthcoming PFF strategic plan will highlight important new initiatives to help us reach our goal towards a cure for pulmonary fibrosis. I hope you're as excited as I am for the continued growth and progress that we can achieve together. Next slide. And all of this great information about who we are and what we do and where we're headed brings us back to the theme for today's webinar, exactly where we started. These 3 pillars of involvement, and your participation in these areas of focus are so important. So we're going to give you a few ways to help us over the next 30 days and beyond with how you can get more involved in the organization. We'll touch on awareness, fundraising, and advocacy. So to get us started, I'd like to introduce my colleague, Samantha Simmons, who is our PFF Marketing and Communications Manager, to talk a little bit more about Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Month and awareness initiatives over the course of the next 30 days.
Thank you, Amy, and hi, everybody. My name is Samantha, and I am the Manager of Marketing Communications here at the PFF. And let's go on and right ahead and just dive right into some ways that you can help us raise awareness this month on social media. So next slide, please. Oh, and the next slide. Okay, so the first thing that you can do is you can follow us. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, as well as YouTube and LinkedIn. On Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, our handle is @PFForg. That's PFFORG. And then on LinkedIn and YouTube, we are at Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. And on each of our channels, we post daily. So our social media accounts are really a great way to keep up with the very latest news from the foundation and the latest news in research, news, and a whole lot more. So definitely give us a follow. That's one great way to kick off the awareness efforts on social media. Okay, next slide. Okay, the 30 facts in 30 days. This here is a series where we post a new fact about pulmonary fibrosis every day on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And after reading the facts here, what you can do is you can engage with them. So what engagement means is liking, sharing, and commenting. So when you like, share, and comment on each of our posts, you can help even more people see each post. And that's because when you do engage with a post, Facebook will flag that post as something interesting. And then its algorithm starts to show that post to more and more people, even beyond our followers. So in particular, commenting is a really great way that you can engage. So on these facts here, after reading them, you can ask questions about the fact of the day, or even leave a very general comment, such as, this is so important for everybody to know, or I didn't know this, or even something like, hey, terrific, looking forward to tomorrow's fact. And so the 30 Facts in 30 Days series really covers a variety of topics, such as causes, symptoms, treatment options, clinical trials, and so much more. It's really a very informative component of PFAM, and we hope that through this 30 Facts in 30 Days series, you learn something new, or perhaps share these facts with somebody who is not familiar with pulmonary fibrosis. So it kicks off every single day at 11 a.m. Central on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, so be sure to check them out every single day. Next slide, please. The portraits of pulmonary fibrosis. So sharing a story is one of the most powerful ways to raise awareness. And the Portraits of PF series on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram shares real stories from real people in their own words and is our most popular campaign on social media. Every day on social media at 1 p.m. Central, we share a story from somebody who has been impacted by pulmonary fibrosis. So this includes people who are currently living with the disease, caregivers, lung transplant recipients, those who have lost a loved one, volunteers, and so much more. And this year we have some truly incredible and very touching stories. So be sure to check out our pages every day at 1 p.m. Central for the news story. And just like the facts, be sure to leave positive comments and like and share the stories. And leaving comments in particular on these are really important because, again, storytelling is so important and it's a great way to get awareness out there. So when you leave comments, you're helping these stories get into even more news feeds. And, even further, leaving comments on these stories is really important because it helps the people who shared their story know that, that you read their story and that maybe you can relate to them or how they feel. And ultimately, leaving really positive, nice comments helps people feel a lot less alone. So the Portraits of PF series is a really powerful component of PFAM, and we hope that you enjoy this year's stories and maybe consider sharing your own. We love to share stories all year round. So definitely don't miss this series. It's up on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram every day at 1 p.m. Central. Okay, next slide. Blue Up for PF. This is where you can really let your creativity shine. In this component of PFAM, we invite you to dye your hair blue, wear as much blue as possible, and then take a photo and post it on social media with the hashtag BlueUpForPF. So in your post, you can tell the world why you are going blue and how pulmonary fibrosis has affected you. And if your social media page is private, but you do want to share your photo with the entire PF community, feel free to send it to us. You can send it to us on social media through a private message, or you can email it to us. And the Blue Up for PF campaign is just a really great way to see all of the different faces of the PF community and kind of see everybody having a little bit of fun while raising awareness this month. And on this slide, you'll notice that there's a couple of buildings here that are shining blue. So another component of the Blue Up for PF campaign is to seek out a landmark in your community that can shine blue at night. This year, we're really happy to report that we have more than 57 buildings from California to New York that are all going to be shining blue for the Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Month campaign. You can find the full list of all of the buildings on our website at pulmonaryfibrosis.org/PFAM. And we would love to add even more buildings. So if there's a landmark in your community that you would love to see shine blue, we have some resources that you can download to send them a letter of request. And that's also available there on our website, link there. So we would love to have even more buildings shine blue. So if you can think of one, that's another great way to participate. Okay, next slide. Personalizing social media. Okay, so in this campaign, you can personalize your social media page with a statement graphic or our brand new Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Month Facebook profile frame. These photos here on the left and right side are just these really big, bold, beautiful, colorful graphics that you can post on your social media after downloading from our website. So when you download these and post them on your social media page, it's going to show up in your newsfeed. And the same thing with the profile picture there. Once you add that frame to your profile picture, it's going to show up in the newsfeed. And all of these here are just really great conversation starters. And so when it does show up in your newsfeed, you can tag your friends in the post and you can continue to tell your story about how you've been impacted. And these right here are just really bold pieces that are going to help all of your friends and family on social media understand how you've been impacted and why this cause is so important to you. So again, these are available at pulmonaryfibrosis.org/PFAM to download. So these are some really great conversation starters for social media. Okay, next slide. All right, due to popular demand, we now have yard signs. So with these awesome yard signs, you can raise awareness without ever even leaving home. These are available brand new on shoppff.com. Got the link right there. And while you're there, we also have some really fantastic t-shirts, tumblers, bags, caps, and bracelets so that with these yard signs, you can raise awareness from home, and with your merchandise, you can raise awareness on the go. And this month for PFAM, everything at Shop PFF is 10% off. So we've got some really great deals going on right now. So definitely check out shoppff.com and get some great merchandise for raising awareness from home and on the go. Okay. Next slide. All right, and from here, I believe I am going to kick it over back to Amy. So thanks so much, and catch you later.
Thanks so much for joining us. Great information and really awesome ways to get involved in our awareness campaign and with us on social media. I got so excited about today's presentation that I failed to mention that there is a question box on the right-hand side of your screen. So if you have questions for any of the presenters while we are presenting all this information, we'll save them for the end. We'll take a few minutes to go through your questions, but feel free to put those in starting now. We also, on the right-hand side of the screen, this deck is available as a handout, so you can review it and have it throughout the whole rest of the month and come back to it when you're looking for a few more ideas on how to engage with us during Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Month. So as I mentioned, I'm our Senior Director of Development. My favorite area of the foundation is our fundraising team, which is the team that I'm a part of. So I'd like to walk you through a couple ways to get involved in our fundraising initiatives and campaigns this month. We've got a few really compelling and really fun ones for your support. So next slide. So you may have seen our Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Month appeal. It should be coming to your mailboxes soon, both email and postal mail. And one of the easiest ways to support all of the programs, services, and resources that we've been discussing is with a donation during Awareness Month. So it's super easy. You can do it on our quick link that you will find on our website, or just go to pulmonaryfibrosis.org, and you can click the donate button on the top right-hand corner of the screen to make your gift. Our PFAM appeal also encourages those within the PF community to get involved in a way that makes sense for them. And we'll discuss a few more ways to do that on the next few slides. So we'll go ahead and cycle to the next one. Our PFF Walk, one of my favorite programs. Mark your calendars to join us for National Walk Day on Saturday, September 25th. I know so many of you on this call are already participating in fundraising. Thank you for that. We are inching closer to our collective goal of $685,000 raised this year. And we encourage you to bring the spirit of the PFF Walk to your community and participate in this virtual gathering. It's really easy to get started. You'll register and start a team at pffwalk.org. You can launch your fundraising goal to help us meet that collective goal that I referenced just a minute ago. And then you walk with us on September 25th. Here's what you can expect on National Walk Day. We'll be sending out a series of emails to all of our registered walkers with inspirational messages from families and partners. We'll be engaging throughout the day on our social media channels, sharing pictures, sharing stories, sharing where everyone is joining us across the country. And then we'll have a live stream closing ceremony on both Facebook and YouTube at 4 p.m. So if you don't already subscribe to our YouTube channel or like us on Facebook, I'd encourage you to do so to get reminders for that closing program. I'm really excited to share that our friend and acclaimed Broadway actor Robert Creighton will be our host this year, and audience participation is encouraged. It's going to be a wonderful way for all of us to be together and celebrate in this virtual space. The PFF Walk is a free event, and all fundraisers who raise $100 or more will receive our signature PFF Walk t-shirt with this year's signature theme, One Step Closer. You can also earn a number of awesome other incentive prizes. Spoiler alert, we have a crew neck sweatshirt this year that is super fun. And you can find all of this information and more at pffwalk.org. We've got tools, we've got resources, and we're happy to help you. Next slide. Oh, there we go. Team PFF is our community fundraising program, and it's another great way to get involved. The options for Team PFF are truly limitless when it comes to creating your own campaign. On average, we welcome about 100 event leaders each year, and events range from bake sales to golf tournaments and truly everything in between. Team PF event leaders run marathons, they host paint nights, they karaoke for a cause. If it's a hobby or an interest of yours, you can turn it into a fundraising campaign. And our team's available to make it happen. This year, one of the most creative ones I've seen is a chili cook-off. So they're selling chilies, which is just so fun. One of the other easy ways to launch a fundraising campaign is on Facebook. And most often these campaigns are associated to birthdays or some sort of other special occasion. It's a great way to celebrate Awareness Month, and you can get started by logging onto your Facebook account and then clicking the fundraisers button on the left-hand side of the screen. Again, all of this information plus tools and resources to help you with your campaign can be found on our website under the Get Involved tab. Next slide. Broadway Belts for PFF is my other favorite. It's our signature gala and our largest single fundraising event for the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. It's hosted by our friend and Broadway actress and comedian Julie Halston, and she recruits so many of her incredibly talented friends to participate in a once-in-a-lifetime Broadway show. You can see a few of the big names on the screen in front of you that have performed at past Broadway Belts events. I'm even more thrilled to share that this year, our friend Julie will be presented the Isabel Stevenson Tony Award for her advocacy and fundraising efforts with the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation. You can tune into the Tonys on Sunday, September 26th to watch her accept this wonderful honor. Please join us. And spoiler alert, special preview, mark your calendar. Next year's Broadway Belts for PFF is scheduled for March 7th, 2021. Next slide. So next steps, a number of different ways to get involved. You can make your donation to the PFAM appeal by going to our website and clicking the donate button. You can start a walk team at pffwalk.org and join us for National Walk Day on Saturday, September 25th. We hope to see you all there virtually, or you can create your own fundraising campaign through Team PFF, and our team is here to help you with all of the resources, tools, questions you may have. Feel free to email us or visit our website for contact information. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over. Can we go to the next slide? Perfect. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to my colleague, Kate Gates, who is going to talk a little bit more about our advocacy efforts.
Great, thank you so much, Amy, and thank you, Sam, for giving us all of those ways that we can be involved with Pulmonary Fibrosis Awareness Month. September is just such a great month so that we can let more people know about pulmonary fibrosis and about what the community is doing. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what's happening on social media and participating in the walk at the end of September. Right now, I'm going to talk a little bit more about advocacy. And I want to start out just sort of by defining advocacy. It can mean some different things. We say that the Pulmonary Fibrosis Foundation is an advocacy organization. That just means that we work on behalf of patients with pulmonary fibrosis. The type of advocacy I'm talking about today is advocacy that means communicating with your public officials about topics and policies that are important to the pulmonary fibrosis community. So who are some of our public officials? The first people that come to mind are elected officials, people like your senators, the members of the House of Representatives, the president. These are all public officials. At the PFF, we really focus on the federal level. This is for a few reasons. One is that as a rare disease organization, it would be hard to have the bandwidth to work at each state and local governmental level. So focusing on the federal level makes sense. And then the topics and the issues that are most important to the community are usually at the federal level. So it makes sense for us to really focus on the federal level, the US government level. In addition to elected officials, there are also appointed officials, people who work for agencies like the National Institutes of Health and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. These are all public officials that we can communicate with and talk about what are the needs of the pulmonary fibrosis community, how can we make sure that the policies and the activities are really serving the needs of the PF community well. Next slide, please. So I want to talk more now about some of those policies and issues that are really important to us. And one of the most exciting ones that we can talk about is medical research. We have in the US such a great public funding structure for medical research so that there are just millions and millions of dollars going into pulmonary fibrosis research every year. The National Institutes of Health is the world's largest public funder of medical research. Their budget for this year, for fiscal year 2021, is $43 billion. That means that there are billions and billions of dollars going into trying to find medical breakthroughs, trying to find new treatments, understand diseases better. And so it's really important that we engage with this organization. At the NIH, there are different institutes, and these institutes have different focuses. So there's a cancer institute, there's one for children, and the one at the PFF that we communicate with the most is the National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, also known as NHLBI. The NHLBI funds most of the public research into pulmonary fibrosis. They cover topics like genetic factors that predispose you to developing pulmonary fibrosis, other risk factors for pulmonary fibrosis, and they've funded a lot of the work that has led to the treatments that we currently have for PF. As you can see, it's really important that they continue to fund this research, and so we ask Congress every year to put in the report that accompanies the funding bill for the NIH to put in their language about the importance of pulmonary fibrosis research. We've been successful in recent years, and we expect that we'll be successful again this year in having language talking about how the NIH should make sure to continue to fund research that helps the PF community. Another important program is the congressionally directed medical research programs. These programs are funded through the Department of Defense. They fund research into diseases and conditions that affect people in the military, veterans, and their families. So this includes pulmonary fibrosis in their research topics. In 2019, there was $17.3 million of research funding for pulmonary fibrosis that was funded through these programs. So you can see, again, this is another important program to us, another one where we're really helping to better understand what causes pulmonary fibrosis and what are some of the potential mechanisms of treatment. So each year, we go to Congress and we ask them to include PF as a topic that is eligible for funding through the program. It's happened in recent years, and we expect that it'll happen again this year. But it's important that we continue to go to these public officials, make sure that they know what the pulmonary fibrosis community needs and how important research is to us. Next slide, please. Another important area of advocacy for the foundation is in regards to supplemental oxygen. Unfortunately, we know that a lot of pulmonary fibrosis patients are not receiving the oxygen that they need. They might be not getting the number of tanks that they need. They're not getting the service that they need. And sometimes it's hard for them even to find a supplier who can provide oxygen in their area. So we are constantly working with other advocacy organizations, such as the American Thoracic Society and the American Association for Respiratory Care, going to public officials, asking them to improve the situation for oxygen for people with pulmonary fibrosis and other oxygen users, letting them know just how bad the problems are. They're not always aware of what the problems are. So talking with the patients and then talking to the public officials about these issues. We have created a brochure that's on our website. You can go to pulmonaryfibrosis.org/education to download this brochure. And it talks about some of the rights that Medicare patients have when they are getting the oxygen service. So this includes things like the right to have the amount of oxygen that your doctor prescribes, the right to have equipment that works, the right to file a complaint. All of these things are outlined in this brochure. So you can, again, go to our website to access the brochure. Next slide, please. As you can see, there are a lot of really important topics that we need to be advocating for. We need to be going to our public officials and making sure that they're aware of these issues. So the best way that you can get involved is to go to pulmonaryfibrosis.org/advocacy, and you can sign up for alerts there. The form is there on the screen. You can see it's really easy. You just put in your name and your zip code and your email address, and we'll reach out to you when there's some sort of policy. Sometimes there are bills that are going through, or there are things that are happening, and we need you to reach out to your public officials. These people are here to serve us. They're elected and they're appointed to serve the community. And the way that they can do that best is by hearing from us. So they want to hear from us. So if you sign up at our website, pulmonaryfibrosis.org/advocacy, you'll get emails and be contacted by us when there are important things happening, so that you can reach out and you can be part of the efforts to improve the lives of people with pulmonary fibrosis. So thank you so much again for your time. I'm going to go ahead and turn it back over to Amy.
Great. Thanks, Kate. And thanks again, Sam, for presenting with us today. I do see a couple questions coming in. Again, on the right-hand side of your screen, there is a box where you can leave your questions. If you have any, if you'd like to learn more about how to get involved, if you just want to leave us your email, we can reach out to you with more specific questions. I do see a couple coming in. But we are so thrilled to have you join us today, and we truly need your help to achieve our ultimate vision of a world without pulmonary fibrosis. So we will bring our panelists all back on for just a moment. Hi, everyone. And we'll take a few moments to let questions come in. Again, as a reminder, I see one question about today's deck. It is also on the right-hand side of the screen under handouts. So you'll get all of the slides available. And then again, our website is a great reference to pair with those slides. So let me just take a moment and go through the rest of the questions. So we unfortunately will not be answering any medical questions on this webinar since we don't have our medical team present today, but we will take that offline and send you an email. Wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for your participation today. And thank you to our community for helping us create progress and to reach some of these milestones that we discussed during today's presentation. We're really excited to celebrate Awareness Month with you and to work with you this month and beyond. Again, my name is Amy Wardzala. Feel free to email me directly with questions at awardzala@pulmonaryfibrosis.org. I can help get those to any of our other presenters, Kate, Sam, or to any of the rest of our 30 plus wonderful staff members at the PFF. So thank you again for your time. This presentation will be added to our website as a recording within a day or two, so you can watch it back. And happy Awareness Month.
Thanks, Amy.
Thank you all.